Welcome to my garden in the middle of May. It is absolutely freezing cold today. I can't be with you live at 4:30, so I thought I would do a pre-recorded video and I'll set it as a premiere, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to join you in the comments. I've just been to my regular yoga class, which is held outside. I've got about 16 layers on, and the reason why I'm sitting here on my bottom on slightly damp grass on this very chilly May morning is to talk to you about No Mow May. Are you doing No Mow May? So that's an initiative here in the UK by a charity I think are called Plant Life, and they're trying to encourage us not to have a tightly mown lawn during the month of May in order that our natural weeds, as you might call them, have a chance to flower and the pollinators can pollinate. So we have quite a large lawn in our garden, and what my husband does, he wants to embrace No Mow May, but instead of letting the whole garden go wild, he just lets little patches go wild or unmown. So you can see here's a strip through there where the lawnmower fits through, and in this little patch here we have got the dandelion, which is it's got the seed head, you know, when you blow on it to tell the time as children. And we've got daisies, and they have got quite a length to them now. These would be absolutely perfect for making daisy chains, and actually they make quite good cut flowers in very short jars. And if you're lucky enough to have buttercups in your garden, save a patch, and they survive quite well in a vase too. I've also got down at the bottom here, I don't quite know what it is. If I pick a leaf off, perhaps you can identify what the leaf is. It may well be that it's a daisy leaf. Of course, we don't normally notice those, do we? And there is also, I can see some dandelion growth. I don't know have you ever made dandelion tea or put it in your salads? It's always sort of half a dream of mine that I will go foraging in the garden and use all these natural things, but we're kind of one step removed from that, aren't we? Apart from, of course, my wild garlic that's growing at the bottom of the garden, I do use that in my cooking. So hello and welcome, I'm Julie from Julie Davis Flower Workshops and Flower Start, the online flower arranging classes. If you're watching this video, I have challenged myself throughout the year to make a bouquet of flowers from my garden, and I haven't been too badly. I haven't done too badly over the time. I think we started this challenge on the 21st of June 2022, and here we are in May 2023. And if you're interested in catching up in those videos, I have left them in a playlist in the description box underneath this video. I've split them up into summer, autumn, Christmas, winter, and now springtime. Just about to turn into summer. I reckon summer starts on the 1st of June. What do you think? And if you enjoy my videos, I'd love it if you subscribe to my channel and perhaps even buy me a coffee. That helps support my YouTube channel. There's a link on how you can do that in the notes underneath this video too. And better still, why don't you join my membership group here on YouTube? Every month I'll be showing you behind the scenes glimpses of what goes on in my flower arranging life, and I am planning some live full-length video classes, a bit like a flower club you can take from the comfort of your own home. And here we have Maggie, our Labradoodle, Labrador cross, who is 8 years old, and she is quite a fan of the garden. What she's doing here is, as well as eating grass, we have a pond just behind here, and first thing in the morning she likes to run out, bark at the wood pigeons, follow the scent of the fox that we sometimes see in the garden, and then she prefers drinking water from the pond. She never drinks it from indoors. So let's see what else I can find in the garden. I know right over here I've got some forget-me-nots that are naturalising in the garden, and also I can see the leaves of the native geranium. And I don't know whether you watched last week's Tuesday video, but we were talking about weeds, and RHS Chelsea, the Chelsea Flower Show, is coming up at the end of the month. We're sort of rebranding weeds as hero plants. And I did actually share an interesting article from one of our national newspapers in the week by Alice Fowler. I shared that to my free Facebook group, and again I'll leave a link to that in the notes underneath the video. And she was saying in the video, in the article, that she is now trying to garden more in tune with nature. Instead of spending all that time sort of making your garden artificially into something that's picture book perfect, she's saying that she gardens with nature now, and that uses the weeds that are growing in her garden to actually diagnose what the problems are with her soil. So it's a very interesting read. So if you haven't read it already, do look up, either go to the Facebook group and check out the article, or perhaps you could search for Alice Fowler. I think she spells her name Alys, but it was a really interesting read. So my task for today is, I think I'm going to get rid of I'll hold on to the daisy, I think I'll discard the leaf, is to go around the garden in May and see what I can cut from my garden that would make just a casual cut and plonk flower arrangement. So you don't always have to do fancy dancy arrangements. It's quite nice if you're into flower arranging to use your skills to expand your repertoire of what you can do. But there's nothing wrong with a good old cut and plonk, and there's especially nothing wrong with picking from your own garden. Of course, except perhaps if you've got a really pristine garden and you don't want the things that you've slaved over to grow to be cut down and put into a vase. But I work by the adage that I'll just take a few things here and there and nobody is going to notice what I have been picking. So I've got my eye on some of the tall leggy comfrey here. We've got some alliums that are just bursting into flower. There's some Solomon seal I can see, and some arum leaves, and there's some euphorbia. I think that's probably going to be a bit too bushy. Lots of forget-me-nots, but they are going to be too short. But I think I probably am going to cut some of the wild mustard that seems to have self-sown in our garden. And I'll show you also our, I've forgotten the name, they're not dahlias, they're peonies. Our peonies, I don't think they're quite ready to cut, so we'll investigate those. So come along and let's see whether I can fulfil my challenge of making a bouquet of flowers every week of the year from my garden. Should we have a go then? Do you like that one? This is the comfrey. I think I am going to have to ditch that daisy. So I'm going to dig right the way down and cut the longest stem possible. And there we have a little flower, a little bit weed-like as a flower. I don't know whether you can see it, but it's got this particular variety. It's got a red, white and blue tinge to it. Did you watch my video that I posted last Monday when I was showing you how to arrange festive flowers on a red, white and blue theme? And instead of going with those highly saturated blues and reds that you might buy from your florist shop, I went for muted tones. I was able to pick from my garden. So I might start just picking three stems, and that way I've still got plenty left in the garden and a little bit for my vase. And here we've got some alliums just about to burst into flower. I might take, I don't know why I'm whispering, there's nobody else in the garden to watch me doing this. I might just take one of those stems, and look, I can just be able to pull it out of that bindweed which was starting to suffocate it. And this one here is rather interesting. It's got a sport, is that what you call it? Sticking out of the top of its head. So I'm just going to take one stem of the allium because there aren't yet enough in the garden and I don't want to denude it of all the colour. A little bit of Solomon seal next. So this is overhanging the lawn, and I'm guessing it's probably going to get in the way next time my husband is mowing the lawn. So I can reckon I can get away with picking that. It's got these lovely dangly little bell-shaped flowers underneath, and to reveal them more, what you can do is take off the leaves and just show the little dangly bits. Matter of personal choice, really. So I did say I wanted to cut in threes. So have I got enough here to cut 3 stems? I think I probably have. So that's number 2 and number 3. I'm not going to be cutting these euphorbia. They're just a bit too big to fit successfully into a stem, but we do have a more, a shorter, sort of more modest variety in the front garden. So I may well pop out there and pick some of the euphorbia. If you do cut any from your garden, just be aware it has a milky sap that can cause an irritation to your skin, and it also leak out the sap as well, which can leak into your water in your vase and stop your other flowers and plant material taking up water. So just be careful with that one. And behind here I have got some more native geraniums. So they've got a really tiny head, lovely leaves, but quite an insignificant flower. Again, I'll just cut 3 of them, let the others come to flower in the bed. I'm getting quite a nice long length to fit into the vase. And here's my mustard. I don't know where it arrived on, but we do garden, well, my husband gardens for wildlife, so I expect it's probably come in with some birds. This has got quite a large, thick stem there, quite robust. So again, I will just take 3 stems and nobody will know I've been cutting. And here are the peonies. They're not quite ready to cut. They're still very hard marble-like. And the word on the street is, the advice that you get from the florist, is not to pick them until they feel quite spongy. People often call it the marshmallow stage. So they're not quite ready for picking yet. But give it a couple of weeks and they'll be perfect. And on the patio in pots, we've got this perpetual wallflower, Ericium, I think it's called. So again, just 3 stems, so nobody will know I've been cutting. Trying to find the ones that are longest. And I'm just cutting them back to where the tufty green growth starts. I've got a bit of clematis in there. I've also cut some other bits and pieces. We've got some of this lovely bronze fennel. It'll be a test to see how well that holds up in the vase. And when it comes into flower, it's a lovely little yellow flower, an umbrella flower, umbrelliferous, not quite sure how you say that, like cow parsley or dill. And it's a lovely scent. I can just smell it. It's gorgeous. And then when the flowers go over, the fennel seeds, and then you can use that in your cooking, grind it down to make a cup of fennel tea. And then over the garden fence was this lovely wisteria that's growing in from next door's garden. It's absolutely beautiful. And I've just found a little bit of honeysuckle that's growing around the uprights on our pergola. So let's get going with the flower arranging. So I've got this beautiful Art Deco jug here, which I picked up for a few pounds from the charity shop, and I am literally going to do a cut and plonk. I'm not going to be overthinking this one. So recut the stems. The flowers have been out of water, out of the ground and cut just for a matter of a couple of minutes. So I need to get them into water as soon as I can. Doesn't that just look lovely? Just pick one thing from the garden and enjoy it. You don't have to have loads and loads of plant material in your vase to make it look fabulous. So here we have the mustard. It's a little bit leggy. I'm going to take off the lower leaves. I don't want everything to be too unruly, so what I do is move the jug to the end of the table, sort of have a bit of a measure up and see where I want to put that stem. I'm going to take off some of the lower leaves as well, not because they're going to be in water, but because I don't want them to overwhelm the sort of dainty look that I've got going on. So cut long to begin with, have a look and see what you think. Next piece, measure up. Now this one, I need to cut it about probably 2/3 of the way down. So I'm going to cut into the stem, pull off those large leaves because they're just too big and floppy. I'll keep some of them on. I just don't want them to overwhelm my vase. Put them in over there. And then the other end of the stem, I need to have a look at. Don't automatically discard it. So here, I don't think I've got much to use, but there is a side shoot I can put in low down in the front of my vase. And then number 3, that was quite tall and skinny. Take my native geraniums. I don't know what this variety is, but it is quite lightweight. Again, I'm going to take off some of the leaves. I'll sit down inside the neck of my vase, just so they don't drop off in the water and start rotting. I can bunch those together and recut the stems all in one go. And then what I'm doing is looking for a gap. So these stems have got a gentle arching habit to them. So I'm just going to let them do their thing and arch out of the vase. So I'm arranging towards me. You're looking at the back. It's just looking green and bushy, but you can see how well the white of the mustard shows up. And of course, when you're looking at this indoors, you'll be looking more closely. It's not as if I'm having this in a church or anything where it's going to get lost. And then those lovely Solomon seal. So the question is, I'm going to take off the lower leaves, but do I take off the leaves to reveal more of the little bell flowers underneath? Perhaps I'll just do a few. I'll just take off the leaves a little bit wholly and a little bit damaged, just to do a light pruning, really. See how clear they are, how much better they show up. So recut the stems. That wants to climb out of the vase as well. I'm pushing it down. And because I've just taken off a few of the leaves, if I decide once I've got it indoors I can't actually see those lovely little dangling white bells, I could always pull off a few more of the leaves. Just need to take a little bit of care to make sure it's the leaves I'm pulling off and not the flower heads. It's very easily done. So I've cut this one a little bit shorter so it spills out towards the front. I've got one Solomon seal here, the other one here, and then the third one cut a bit shorter, and that's dangling out at the front of the vase. And then to fill in, so I've got my lovely vivid allium here, and actually it's the same sort of colour as the pinkiness of my geranium. So I'm going to cut it quite short in order that when it opens it's going to be a real focal area at the front of the vase, and then I shall fill in with my comfrey. I'm going to take most of these leaves off. They're a little bit shaggy, not particularly attractive, but as it's got some length I'm going to let it rise up above some of the other shorter stems, and it'll sort of head off and go and meet the taller, elegant stems of the mustard. Again, just looking for a hole and placing it in. What I'm doing here is pinching the leaves off rather than pulling them in order that I don't damage the stem of the flower. And this one here, I might go shorter. So I've got 2 longer lengths out to the side and then a shorter length to the middle. And you just keep adding until you run out of materials. So it just goes to show you don't need much to make a really impressive vase arrangement, and doubly impressive because you've picked it from the garden. So these are the purple wallflowers. Again, it's picking up on the purple of the allium, which will be coming into flower soon, and the purple of the tiny little native geraniums. I'm taking off all the little seed heads just on the side just so I got the drama of the flower head without the little fuzzy bits coming up the side of the stems. So I've had to put these in according to their natural length. This was the longest one, and then I had progressively shorter stems, so nestling them down inside, but starting to build on this focal area, this striking area of the purple. And talking about purple, have we got room to put in a little bit of wisteria? So if you are lucky enough that you've got a neighbour with wisteria in the garden, just remember which end was the cut end from the bush and make sure it goes into your vase. And I'm just wondering, looking at this, whether I can release some of the weight by cutting that stem there, and then I've got two placements that I can use. So standing back, having a little look, this has got a nice draping quality which actually is echoing the drape or the arch of the fennel that I put in to begin with. I'm going to go quite low over the neck of the container there, so that's really draping down over the edge of the vase. I got a stray bit of the natural stem here. It's just poking out a little bit. I'm going to cut that off. Recut the stem, and I might just have to sacrifice one of these blooms that's going to get caught up in the vase and bring that perhaps diagonally opposite, getting it rising up a little bit. And then for my last little flourish, I'm going to add in the bushy stem of the honeysuckle. So this at the moment is still immature. It's got very pale green edges, and I can see it's going to have a deeper pink centre. But at the moment it's keeping to my colour palette. It's the muted tones of the soft purples with a little bit of white. And in fact, I think I'm going to put that right in the middle. I did originally think, because of its draping quality, that I would put it to hang over the edge of the vase, but I saw a hole in the middle of the vase and it just needs to be there. So what I'm doing now, I can just see, I'm going to take off some more of the mustard leaves. They're just crowding out the more elegant and attractive Solomon seal. And I'm thinking perhaps when I take a photograph, I may well decide to expose a little bit more of the Solomon seal. Take off some of the leaves so it's the white hanging bells that you can see. So there you go, looking very festive. You can see we've still got our bunting up from the coronation weekend. So I hope you enjoyed this video, not quite live, but as live, recorded in the garden ahead of time. And I'd love to know in the comments, let me know, what have you got growing in your garden? Are you a very particular gardener who likes stripy lawns and your flowers in lines? Or are you embracing nature a little bit more? And if, like me and my husband, you are embracing nature, I'd love to know what you're going to pick from your garden to make your own fabulous flower arrangement. Well, that's all from me for now. I'll see you again next time, and don't forget to check out the details underneath the video. There's lots of other videos that you can watch, details of how you can buy me a coffee, or better still, join my YouTube membership group, and also my Facebook group too. That's free to join, and I usually do a Facebook Live there on a Friday morning, as well as the videos I do over here on YouTube. So I think now it's time for a cup of tea and some breakfast, and I shall take a photograph of this and post it in the community tab pages for you to enjoy. Got a little bit of tidying up to do as well, so I'll have to get my compost bin out.